How to Never Get Angry or Bothered by People, Mastering Inner Peace and Emotional Resilience. Written by Robert McBride and published by Audiobooks Haven. Introduction. Anger, frustration, annoyance. These emotions are part of being human, and at some point, we all experience them, especially in response to other people. Whether it's a rude comment, a cutting remark, or even just someone's behavior that doesn't align with our expectations, it can be easy to let others get under our skin. But what if you could stop that from happening? What if you could live your life in a state of peace, unaffected by the actions, words, or opinions of others? Imagine how freeing that would be, to remain calm, centered, and unbothered, no matter what happens around you. This book is a guide to achieving that state of inner calm. It's not about suppressing your emotions or pretending to be unaffected. Instead, it's about learning how to build emotional resilience and mastering your own mind, so that other people's behavior no longer dictates how you feel. Through practical advice, mindset shifts, and real-life examples, you'll discover how to cultivate a sense of peace that can't be easily disturbed. Chapter 1. Understanding Why We Get Angry or Bothered. Before we can learn how to stop getting angry or bothered by others, it's important to understand why we react in the first place. Anger and annoyance don't just appear out of nowhere. They're the result of certain triggers and deeply ingrained patterns of thinking. The role of expectations. One of the main reasons we get upset with other people is because we have expectations for how they should behave. Whether we're aware of it or not, we hold certain beliefs about what is right or acceptable, and when someone violates those expectations, it can cause frustration. Example: think about a time when you were stuck in traffic and someone cut you off without signaling. Why did it bother you? It wasn't just the act itself. It was the violation of your expectation that other drivers should follow the rules and be courteous. This expectation, when unmet, triggered anger or irritation. The ego and our sense of self. Another reason we get bothered by people is that we take their actions personally. We see someone's behavior as a reflection of how they feel about us, and our ego reacts accordingly. If someone speaks rudely to us, we might feel insulted or disrespected, as if their words are an attack on our sense of self-worth. But the truth is, most of the time, people's behavior has very little to do with us. It's often a reflection of their own internal state, struggles, or misunderstandings. Learning to separate someone's actions from your self-worth is a key step in becoming unbothered by others. Example: imagine you're at work and a colleague makes a sarcastic comment about your project. Your initial reaction might be to take it personally and feel hurt or defensive. But when you step back, you realize that their comment likely stems from their own stress or insecurity. Once you see that their words have nothing to do with you, the anger dissipates. The habit of reactivity. Many of us have developed a habit of reacting to things quickly, without giving ourselves time to process what's really happening. This automatic reaction often leads to anger or annoyance before we've had a chance to understand the situation. Breaking this habit is crucial if we want to stay calm and composed, no matter what others do. Chapter 2. The Power of Emotional Detachment. One of the most effective ways to stop getting angry or bothered by people is by practicing emotional detachment. This doesn't mean becoming cold or indifferent. It means learning to observe situations without getting emotionally entangled in them. When we can detach from the immediate emotional response, we gain the clarity to choose how we want to react, shifting from reacting to responding. When we react emotionally, we're often driven by impulse and habit. But when we respond mindfully, we make a conscious choice about how to handle the situation. Emotional detachment gives us the space to pause, reflect, and decide the best course of action, rather than getting swept up in anger. Example: consider a situation where a friend cancels plans at the last minute. A reactive response might be to feel hurt, angry, or frustrated, and immediately assume they don't value your time. A detached response, however, would involve taking a moment to assess the situation without jumping to conclusions. Maybe they had a valid reason for canceling, or perhaps they're going through something difficult. By pausing, you give yourself the opportunity to respond with understanding rather than irritation. The art of letting go. Emotional detachment also involves letting go of the need to control others or their behavior. We often get upset because we want people to act in a certain way. But the truth is, we can't control anyone but ourselves. Letting go of the need to change others allows us to stay calm, even when people don't meet our expectations. Chapter 3. Cultivating Inner Peace Through Mindfulness. Mindfulness is a powerful tool for cultivating inner peace and remaining unbothered by others. When we practice mindfulness, we bring our attention to the present moment, without judgment or attachment. This helps us stay grounded and centered, even when faced with difficult people or situations. Mindful awareness of emotions. Mindfulness teaches us to observe our emotions without becoming overwhelmed by them. When you feel anger or irritation rising, instead of reacting immediately, take a moment to notice what's happening inside. What are the physical sensations? What thoughts are running through your mind? By simply observing these things, you create a gap between the emotion and your reaction, allowing the feeling to pass without controlling you. Example: the next time someone makes a rude comment, instead of reacting, take a deep breath and focus on how the comment makes you feel. Notice the tension in your body or the racing thoughts in your mind, but don't act on them. By observing your emotions, you prevent them from dictating your response. Staying present in difficult moments. Anger and frustration often arise when we're caught up in the past or the future. We might dwell on a past wrong or worry about how someone's behavior will affect us in the future. Mindfulness brings us back to the present moment, where most of our problems don't actually exist. By staying present, we can handle situations with calm and clarity. Chapter 4. The Power of Compassion and Understanding. One of the most effective ways to stop getting angry or bothered by people is to cultivate compassion and understanding. When we see others through the lens of empathy, it's much harder to be upset with them. Compassion allows us to recognize that everyone is dealing with their own struggles, and often their behavior is a reflection of what's going on inside them, not a personal attack on us. Seeing people's pain. People often act out of their own pain or insecurity. When someone is rude or hurtful, it's usually a sign that they're struggling with something internally. By recognizing this, we can respond with compassion rather than anger. Instead of asking, "Why are they treating me this way?" we can ask, "What might they be going through that's causing them to act this way?" Example: your boss snaps at you during a meeting. Initially, you feel irritated and offended. But when you step back and consider what might be going on in their life, perhaps they're dealing with pressure from higher-ups or personal stress, you realize their reaction likely has little to do with you. This shift in perspective helps you stay calm and respond with understanding. Letting go of judgment. We often judge others harshly, expecting them to meet our standards of behavior. But everyone has their own unique background, challenges, and ways of seeing the world. When we let go of judgment, we allow others to be who they are, without getting upset when they don't act the way we want them to. Chapter 5. Building Emotional Resilience. Emotional resilience is the ability to bounce back from difficult situations without being overwhelmed by negative emotions. It's a key skill in learning how to stay calm and unbothered, no matter what others do. Developing a strong sense of self. One reason we get upset with others is that we rely on their approval or validation to feel good about ourselves. When someone disapproves or criticizes us, it can feel like an attack on our self-worth. But when we cultivate a strong sense of self, we don't need others to validate us. We become less affected by their opinions, knowing that our worth isn't determined by what others think. Example: imagine someone criticizes your work, saying it's not good enough. If your sense of self is tied to external validation, this might upset you. But if you know your own value and are confident in your abilities, their comment doesn't shake you. You can calmly assess whether the criticism is valid and make improvements without taking it personally. Building mental toughness. Resilience involves building mental toughness, the ability to stay calm and focus even in challenging situations. This doesn't mean ignoring your emotions, but rather learning how to manage them effectively. Through practices like meditation, journaling, and self-reflection, you can develop the inner strength to remain composed and unbothered, no matter what others do. Chapter 6. Effective Communication and Boundaries. While it's important to remain calm and unbothered, it's also essential to communicate your needs and set boundaries when necessary. Being unbothered doesn't mean letting people walk all over you. It means handling situations with grace and assertiveness. Communicating calmly and effectively. When someone's behavior is truly bothering you, it's important to express how you feel in a calm and respectful way. This allows you to address the issue without letting anger or frustration take over. Use I statements to express your feelings without blaming or attacking the other person. Example: instead of saying, "You're always so inconsiderate," you might say, "I feel frustrated when plans change at the last minute because it makes it hard for me to adjust." This opens the door for a productive conversation without escalating the situation. Setting healthy boundaries. Sometimes, staying unbothered means knowing when to distance yourself from people who consistently disrupt your peace. Setting boundaries is an act of self-care, and it's essential for maintaining your emotional well-being. Chapter 7. Practicing Gratitude and Acceptance. Finally, one of the most powerful tools for staying calm and unbothered is gratitude and acceptance. When we focus on the things we appreciate in life and accept people as they are, we find that anger and frustration naturally diminish. Focusing on what you can control. You can't control other people, but you can control how you respond to them. By focusing on what's within your control, your thoughts, actions, and attitudes, you empower yourself to remain calm, no matter what others do. Finding gratitude in every situation. Even in difficult situations, there's always something to be grateful for. By shifting your focus from what's bothering you to what you appreciate, you cultivate a sense of peace and contentment. Conclusion. The journey to emotional freedom. Learning how to never get angry or bothered by people is a lifelong journey. It requires practice, patience, and self-awareness. But as you begin to apply the principles in this book, mindfulness, emotional detachment, compassion, and resilience, you'll find that staying calm and centered becomes second nature. You'll no longer be at the mercy of others' actions or words, but instead, you'll be in control of your own peace and happiness. By mastering your own emotions, you free yourself from the grip of anger and irritation, and you step into a life of true emotional freedom. And that, more than anything, is the key to living a peaceful, fulfilling life. Thanks for listening to or reading this from Audiobooks Haven.